I used to work as a security guard at the polyester manufacturing plant. It was an easy job. The plant was pretty quiet most of the time, and my shift was one of those afternoon shifts. Sunday through Thursday, for 8 hours a day, I would look over a few camera monitors and watch YouTube. Needless to say, it was incredibly boring after the first 2 weeks. And even the overreaction of my favorite Let's Play YouTubers started to make me yawn in the middle of my shift. When my shift was finally finished, and my relief signed in and asked me the usual "How was your shift?", I bolted out the door, got into my car, and drove as fast as legally allowed to get home and sleep. Last week was nothing different. The same 8 hours of internet, the same "How was your shift?", and the same sound of my 2001 Chevy Impala turning its engine over as I turned the key. I pulled out of the parking lot and flipped on my brights, the gravel road stretching in front of me like a trail of breadcrumbs leading me home. My mind focusing on nothing but the thought of getting into my warm bed. The voice of the late night call-in radio show I had on said the phone lines were open, and to ask questions about the theme for that night: how to improve your nightlife. I had to laugh at that a little, wondering how much money this guy was making to basically say, "Don't stay up listening to the radio all night." Once I hit the pavement, the voice of the radio mixed with the sounds of my tires on the road. It had been 3 days since I'd gotten a good night's sleep, and the long, dark road, combined with the monotone voice of the radio and my tires, were making my eyes heavy. I turned the AC on full blast, trying to chill myself to force my eyes to stay open for the last 20 minutes of my drive. The next couple of minutes of the drive were a mix between trying to focus on the road, turning the air conditioning up and down, opening the windows to get some fresh air, and flipping from radio station to radio station to radio station. My heavy lids closed, and I swear I only closed them for a minute, but I guess that's all it takes. I don't know how long it had been before I felt the front of my car smash into something, and there was a sound like when you break a chicken bone accidentally that forced my eyes awake. My foot slammed down on my brakes, my tires squealing, and I pulled to the side of the road. "Holy shit. Fuck, what was that?" I said to myself before grabbing my phone. I tore off my seatbelt and pointed my makeshift flashlight in front of me. The light from my cell phone screen barely able to show the road. The night sky was cloudy, and I remembered the moon was barely brighter than a glow stick through the leaves of the trees. So, it wasn't until my foot tapped against the black leather dress shoe in the middle of the road that I realized what I had done. My heart pumped like the motor of my Impala. I swear I could barely feel the phone slip from my hand and shatter against the road, but I didn't care about my cheap flip phone. Not after realizing I had just murdered a man. My brain wanted to scream at me, a voice in my head scolding me like my mother would for coming home too late when I was a kid. "You killed a man," the voice echoed through my head. "You killed a man, you fucking monster." In that moment, I did the only thing I could think of doing. I grabbed the shoe from the ground and ran to my car. The blood pumped into my ears as I pulled a U-turn, the spotlights that were my Impala's headlights cutting through the dark night and showing only a large red spot in the road, like a juice stain on a great white carpet. The voice in my head stopped, like I had ran over it too. I jumped out of the car again, shouting at the top of my lungs, "Hello? We've got to get you to a hospital. Hello?" There was no answer. How? How the hell did he crawl into the forest? I had heard his bones break. The guy must have been in fucking agony. I must have searched for at least an hour. Every time I yelled for whoever it was to answer me, the only thing that answered me back was the sound of the wind moving through the trees above me. My mind raced as I rushed back to the road. the voice in my head yelling at me at the top of its lungs. That could be why I didn't notice it. Why I didn't notice the sound of the tires on the pavement, or the light from the brights of that car that slammed into me. The sound of bones cracking filled my ears again, right before my world went as black as the sky was. The warmth of the hospital bed surrounded me as I woke up. The beeping of the machines and the sounds of footsteps made my head pound as I looked around the room. I'd been found by the sheriff on the side of the road, my body bruised, but no worse for wear. He said it looked like somebody had tried to run me off the road, and when I ran for it, they tried to drive my car into me. I told the sheriff my story, from heading home from work to the brights of the car, and the feeling of it hitting me. But he brushed it off as a nightmare from the painkillers. Right before informing me that whoever tried to kill me had stolen my car. A few days later, the doctor released me into my own care. My mother, who I lived with at the time, came to pick me up and take me home. The whole way there she scolded me for getting out of my car in the first place, between saying she was happy I was all right and telling me my boss had been worried about me as well. She also told me that the hospital had given her the things I had on me at the time of the accident. She said they found almost everything. The only things missing were the things in my car and one of my black leather dress shoes. If you want to hear a critique of this story, there's a link in the card to the episode of Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories that was done on this story by Dead Palette. This story was written by me, TheLawliet10. The music you're hearing right now is Queen and Yari's Descent into Madness by Abysme. There's also a link to this track in the card, which you can buy off of Bandcamp. In the description is a link to the original story on twospooky.com. Please feel free to leave your critiques there or in the comments. Feel free to leave a comment and a like as well. And thank you for watching this video.